Did you ultimately determine that Patty Greene was suffered from nicotine addiction?
I did.
Did you determine what symptoms of addiction she had?
Yes.
She had 12?
Yes, I found, interviewing her, I found, and reading through her depositions also gave me more, so I found 12 different symptoms. To diagnose nicotine addiction, a doctor only needs one symptom. If we can recognize that only nicotine addiction causes a symptom, then you have your diagnosis. But she had 12, so it wasn't a hard task to determine that she was addicted.
Do you need the medical records of a patient to make the diagnosis of nicotine addiction?
Not if I interview them. I diagnose nicotine addiction all the time in my practice. I've got 2,000 patients, so I'm treating nicotine addiction almost every day. So I know how to diagnose it. I don't need their past medical records if they're sitting right in front of me. In this case, I had the opportunity to sit down with Patty, and she was able to tell me her symptoms.
Okay, so craving was the first one, needing.
Yeah, so she described craving all the way back to, she remember when she was 14 years old, 8th grade, she was having craving. She said that she couldn't quit smoking all those times because you needed to have a cigarette. She used those words. I know starting when she was 21, even before 21, she had failed quit attempts, and she told me she had more than 20 failed quit attempts. So that's a sign of addiction. She felt addicted many years before the tobacco companies admitted that these cigarettes were addictive. So she figured it out because she felt addicted, not because somebody told her that the cigarettes were addictive. She gave up activities like eating, going out to bars, going out to restaurants where her friends wanted to meet her because they didn't smoke and she did. And she couldn't smoke inside the bar or the restaurant, so she just stayed home.
Withdrawal symptoms?
And she said when she tried to quit smoking, she was irritable, nervous, restless, anxious. She had trouble concentrating. All she could think about was the need for the cigarette, and she gained weight, which is also a symptom of withdrawal that's used by the American Psychiatric Association.
Now, are there tests used in your profession for diagnosing nicotine addiction?
Yeah, we got another slide here before that.
I'm sorry. What are the additional symptoms of addiction for Patty?
Well, she smoked longer than intended. She had intended to quit smoking by the age of 21 or before. She doesn't think that was her first attempt to quit. But so when she was a teenager, she was trying to quit smoking, or early 20s. Once she decided she wanted to quit smoking, she had her reasons. She never gave up. She's constantly trying to quit over many years, and ultimately took her from about 15 years to quit smoking, if I did the math right. But she was persistently trying all these different strategies over this time period. She kept changing her strategy to adjust to what went wrong the time before. We'd said she reduced her social activities due to smoking. Part of this is not going out where smoking was not allowed. Some of it was that the smoking was starting to catch up with her, and she wasn't able to be the athletic person she had been. She used to be running and doing all kinds of sports, and she had to give that up because her lungs, weren't in shape. The tolerance in her case, her latency to withdrawal became shorter and shorter, and she unintentionally had to increase her smoking. She never intended to smoke a half a pack to a pack a day. That just, her brain made her do that. She did smoke in bed. She never lit anything on fire, but there were burn stains on her carpets and her blankets and her upholstery. And she said she did find it difficult to refraining from smoking in places where, it's prohibited, and that's why she avoided those places. So we have 12 different symptoms of addiction. You don't need 12 to diagnose addiction, but it's very clear that she was addicted.
All right. Now, did you perform tests that are used in your specialty to determine whether she had a nicotine addiction?
So I used 4 different standardized tests. So what we just did the 12, we call that making a clinical addiction. That's how real practicing doctors do it. But then in research, you need something more standardized, and so there are a number of standardized measures where if I use this instrument and somebody uses it in New Zealand, we get the same results because we're asking the same questions. And so one of those is the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual, the 4th edition, which is published by the American Psychiatric Association. And that's it.
Okay, and it requires that patients have 3 of the 7 criteria to be diagnosed with dependence, and Patty had 5 of them.
Yes.
And what criteria did she have?
Well, these are 5 of the 7 criteria that are listed in the DSM. Unsuccessful efforts to cut down or control substance use. So we know it took her about, well, it says over a period of 10 years, she was trying to quit smoking. It was actually a little bit longer than that. She used the nicotine longer than intended. She intended to quit smoking in her early 20s. She wasn't successful till she was in her mid-30s. She had the withdrawal symptoms. We went through all of that. She had the tolerance because her latency shrank. And she reduced her recreational activities. So she used to mountain climb, swimming, skiing, skating, running. So she gave up all of these things or reduced how much she was able to do them because of the smoking.
So this meant that she was diagnosed with dependence on this test.
Yeah, so using the official American Psychiatric Association test, she only needed to have 3. And she had 5, and so she was addicted based on the American Psychiatric Association's criteria.